PNC Maverick with Craig Pretzinger. Fuel for your mind and agency in under 5 minutes.
In a world where reality often disappoints, the power of fantasy can open doors you never knew existed. Welcome back to the PNC Maverick podcast, where we explore the 48 laws of power and how they apply to the world of insurance. I am your host, Craig Pretzinger, and today we're diving into Law 32, play to people's fantasies. Now, again, I think it's important as a caveat to realize that some of these techniques have been argued to be borderline unethical, problematic. And so take these with a grain of salt. I just find it fascinating that somebody has published these laws, and these laws are business, right? So it's real important to understand and then also be able to delineate and be discerning on where the line is, right? And that's on you, right? That's on us as we go out in the world and we're doing these things and incorporating these learnings. We want to make sure that we're also really mindful of the impact this can have. And we need to know where our line lies when it comes to that moral compass, right? We want to make sure that we are living within integrity. This is different for different people, but you want to find that line, right? You don't want to cross the line and take this too far with all of these things. I think that's important to take away. We're going to explore the psychology behind fantasies, the art of creating compelling narratives, and the ethical considerations of using this powerful technique, right? So there's that caveat, and I think it's important. By the end of this episode, you're going to have practical insights and strategies to help you navigate the complex landscape of insurance and power dynamics. So let's start by understanding what Law 32 really means. At its core, this law is going to suggest that people often prefer fantasy over reality. Think about Steve Jobs, right? He had the distortion. Jason says that I seem to have some sort of reality distortion field also, which I take as a little bit of a compliment. I'll take it. You know, I'd prefer to live in the land of optimism, because that's going to feed more optimism and energy into whatever we're working on. If we're coming from a place of negativity, I think it's much more challenging to reach those places. Anywho, the fantasy is important because everyone wants to believe in something greater, something more exciting. Hence, grass is always greener and more fulfilling than their current circumstances. So as insurance agency owners, we can leverage this understanding to create more compelling offerings and build stronger client relationships, right? That's what it's all about, because the stronger the relationship, the longer they're staying. So now you might be thinking, hey, Craig, how does fantasy fit into the world of insurance? Are you kidding me? We deal with risk and hard facts. And you're right, but hear me out. Insurance isn't just about policies, premiums. It's about peace of mind. It's about security. It's about the promise of a better future. These are all concepts that can tap into people's fantasies. You just have to tie it together. So let's break down some practical examples. Fantasy of security, right? Many people fantasize about a world where they're protected from all possible risks. As insurance professionals, we can play to this fantasy by emphasizing the different coverages and then painting a picture of their life being much more worry-free as a result of having these things in place. Take, for example, an auto policy that maybe they only have liability on, and maybe it's only state minimum. At our agency, we don't even offer state minimum, right? The minimum that they're going to start with is $5,100, and we don't even like that. We usually will quote $100, $300, $250, $500, and then if we can't move the needle with that, we can't convince them of why that's so much more important, then we're going to back down a little bit. But we never go down to state minimum. 2, the fantasy of financial freedom, right? Clients often dream of a future where money is no object. This is like everybody's biggest thing, right? We can tap into this by highlighting how the right insurance policy can protect their wealth and even help it grow over time. Now, if you're registered as a rep and are able to do life insurance strategies and this type of thing, really key here. Of course, I'm not going to dive into that, but important to look at those opportunities. And then the fantasy of being a hero. People love the idea of protecting their loved ones. By framing the insurance as a way to be a hero for their family or business, we can appeal to this powerful fantasy, right? A lot of folks want to provide, be the provider for the family. Well, if that insurance falls short, if they don't have the right coverages, they're not providing properly. So we have to break that down. We have to take that to them. So how do we actually implement this law in our day-to-day work? So number one really key strategy that we incorporate into our scripts is storytelling. Instead of just listing the policy features and talking about benefits, right? I would say that's sales 101, where we're doing features and benefits. That's 101. Now, pre-sales, your typical insurance sales agent is just doing features, right? They're not even talking benefits. And let me dive into that a little bit. So even with, let's say, liability. Hey, I noticed you have 5100. We're actually recommending 100, 300. And I know that that's just a bunch of mumbo jumbo to you. So that means in the event that you hit somebody, now you're protected, right? So you can't be sued, you can be sued. And when you are, you're going to be protected all the way up to 100,000 per person. Let me tell you a quick story about that. So we had somebody who blah, 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 right? Go into that. Now and then the benefit, this is going to leave you in a much better position. Can you see how this is a better thing for you? Right? 2, paint vivid pictures. So when discussing coverage options, help clients visualize positive outcomes. Don't just say liability coverage. They don't know what that means. Don't just say comprehensive. They don't know what that means. Don't say collision. They likely don't quite understand what that means. Find the things in your policy that differentiate your agency, your carrier from everybody else. And it could be something simple. I know my compadre with the insurance dudes, Mr. Jason, he loves to oversell, or not oversell, but to really talk up comprehensive with free glass. Now, this is something that almost every carrier has, right? But when you talk about it and you make it special, which it is, but nobody talks about, it differentiates you, even though it's the same thing, right? So you could say, hey, did you know that we have actually free glass? They may even say, oh, I have that with my current thing. Say, perfect. Where do you work again? Oh, at McDonald's. Great. Well, you know what? You're not even going to have to miss a beat with that broken glass. We're going to send somebody out from our preferred vendor. They're going to come out to your work. They're going to go in, grab your keys, not even bother you. You just toss them the keys. They're going to fix the windshield, throw your keys back. You're not even going to notice. No time out of your day. How awesome is that? Right? So it's much better than where you could listen to your team right now and potentially they're sitting there and I've heard it a million times, but they're just rattling through and doing the thing, right? Hey, I went ahead and matched all your stuff. I have your liability at 5,100. I have your comp at blah, 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 right? They just go through and they don't really try to explain. And there's a difference between over explaining the legalese and the policy jacket stuff versus over explaining in story form how it helps them, which takes us to the next strategy, which is tapping into their emotions, right? If we can get them into an emotional state, this is how and when people make buying decisions. They do not buy on logic. Fantasies also are driven by emotions, right? So take them to that place. You are helping them make the best decision, and nobody wants to make a decision, especially about insurance. It's more like going to the dentist, right? And getting a root canal. They just want to put it off. They don't want to deal with it. But know that, well, you know that, and I know that, and Mr. Jason knows that it could be the worst decision ever just to bury your head in the sand when it comes to your coverages. So it's crucial to remember that with great power comes great responsibility. So we know these things. We know that we're going to be able to shift the thinking of our prospects and clientele, but we need to use it ethically, right? Now, I'm not telling you what to do, but I am telling you that it's important to play the game ethically. Sometimes you're going to lose because of this. Times people are going to run circles around you because they're not being ethical, but in the long run, it will pay off because the people that are not playing fairly end up paying eventually. Avoid making any false promises, any misleading claims. You got to be honest. You have to tell the truth. So our goal should be to highlight the genuine benefits of our policies in a compelling way, but not create unrealistic expectations, because that causes a lot of problems, right? We've all had that over-promising, right? So as we've seen, Law 32's powerful concept that can help insurance professionals create a more engaging presentation, build stronger relationships, and ultimately close more deals. So I think this is something that we should really consider, something that you can potentially put into your toolkit. And remember, it's not necessarily easy to do. It's going to require some deep understanding of psychology, excellent communication skills, and a careful balance between appealing to the fantasies and maintaining your professional integrity. So it's essential to practice your storytelling, stay attuned to their dreams and aspirations, and always ensure that your narratives are grounded in the real benefits of your products. So here's some key takeaways from this episode. Number one, people often prefer fantasy over reality, even in practical matters like insurance. Two, by tapping into their fantasies of security, financial freedom, and heroism, we can make insurance more appealing. And three, storytelling and vivid imagery to bring benefits of insurance to life, but always maintain ethical standards and avoid false promises. So keeping these insights in mind and applying them to your work, you're going to be well on your way to mastering law number 32. We've only got 16 left. Can you believe it? If you're one of the few that have been with me on this journey, whether it's real Craig or AI Craig, who knows? You have to decide. But there's a reason behind it. Trying to show you something that can be done with AI. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. This could be real Craig. It is. But take a listen. The next one's going to be AI Craig. We'll see what you think. Peace.
Hey there. Want to hear more? Join me with my co-host buddy Jason Feltman at the Insurance Dudes podcast or the Insurance Dudes website over at www.theidudes.com. Please, if you liked what you heard, click subscribe and you'll get the newest episode each time.